Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be reacting to this clip from ZJRE on cobalt mining in the Congo. Now, with this push for EVs, we've all been told that EVs are some magical vehicle powered by unicorns and fairies. And in the future, we're all going to be living on Mars while our self-driving cars drive us everywhere and then peg us from behind and feed us soy lattes. And the world is just going to be a utopia. But some of us that have been skeptical about EVs have pointed out the fact that it's actually not environmentally friendly, and most of the mining is done by children in the Congo. It's basically slave labor. So let's get into this clip from the JRE and see what they have to say.
Please detail the journey that you went on to write this book and why it turned to you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I started traveling to the Congo 5 years ago. I've been doing research on slavery and child labor for about 20 years, traveling all around the world, documenting slaves and child laborers, human trafficking. And this came across my radar maybe 7 years ago. People started talking in the field about cobalt. Cobalt's in the batteries. It's in the Congo. The conditions are horrible. And I had no idea. Never heard of this. So I started.
If you don't know, I'm just going to pause this here. If you don't know that, these things require, or your rechargeable battery requires lithium and cobalt to function. These are rare earth elements, okay? And the United States doesn't have a big stockpile of some of them. I'm not sure which ones, but these are the materials that are needed to go into your phone and your EV. And basically, it's mined by children in Africa. This is what we have all been talking about when we keep saying EVs are not environmentally friendly. And then, the soy boys want to get on us about it. And it's like, bro, you actually don't understand the technology.
Planning to take trips to get down there. And I took my first trip back in 2018. My plan was I thought I would try to lay the groundwork to do some academic research. And the things I saw there were so appalling and heart-wrenching and urgent that I changed my approach. I thought people need to know about this. I need to.
So on the EV front, let me ask the audience. Well, I don't have an audience, so let me ask you, the few people that actually watch my videos. What do you think is going to happen to the EV market once all of this stuff comes out? I've said this for years on my channel. Once people find out how we get these materials, I'm telling you, there's going to be a big backlash against all of this.
The book. And so I started planning more trips, and I just kept going back. And the reason this is important, Joe, we can dig into this in more depth. Throughout the whole history of slavery, I'm going back centuries, never in human history has there been more suffering that generated more profit and was linked to the lives of more people around the world. Ever in history, what's happening in the Congo right now. The reason I say that is this. The cobalt that's being mined in the Congo is in every single lithium-ion rechargeable battery manufactured in the world today. Every smartphone, every tablet, every laptop, and crucially, every electric vehicle. So you and I, we can't function on a day-to-day basis without cobalt, and 3/4 of the supply is coming out of the Congo. And it's being mined in appalling, heart-wrenching, dangerous conditions. And so that's why people need to know, because by and large, the world doesn't know what's happening.
It's something that people...
You also have to factor in, China is basically colonizing Africa right now. And a lot of their companies are the ones that are going into the Congo and paying the locals or the local children to mine this stuff.
Sort of know peripherally that, you know, that they call them conflict minerals, and, you know, they know that they're coming from an area of the world that's very poor, but I don't think people are aware of how horrible it is. There have been some documentaries that have been done on it, and they're all terrifying.
Yeah, so conflict minerals was phase one, and that's actually not cobalt.
What's the term?
See, like, in my opinion, the whole thing with the whole EVs and being good for the environment, what it really is it's a mixture of ignorant people, but it's also some level of virtue signaling. Yeah, look at me. I drive a Tesla. Look at how environmentally friendly I am. I'm one of the good guys. That's really what it is. You know, when you listened to all of the hype in the run up on Tesla, there was a story that was never told. And it always seemed bizarre to me. So, subtracting the fact that a lot of people on YouTube just talk about stuff that's popular, I understand why they do that, to get views, because it's really about views. Okay, but there was one thing that I brought up over and over again that these people weren't factoring in when they were saying, you know, Tesla's going to colonize or it's going to terraform Mars. But one of the things I kept wondering is, like, do these people not understand that the level of mining of these rare earth elements is going to have to ramp up at such a pace that I don't even know if the world has the supplies to meet demand. You know, so that whole thing was also something that factored in to a lot of these story investors when they were talking. I'm using Tesla as an example of this because, I mean, Volkswagen, all of these companies are going to run into it, but it's the activists sitting there going, you're going to drive an electric vehicle by 2035. Well, it turns out we don't have enough of these rare earth elements to do that.
What does it refer to?
So conflict minerals, also called the 3TG minerals, are tin, tungsten, tantalum, and gold. And those are in the eastern Congo. And that catastrophe started around the year 2000, late 1990s, 2000, shortly after the Rwandan genocide. The militias moved in, and Eastern Congo is sitting on some of the largest reserves in the world of those 3TG minerals, especially tantalum. And those are all used in microprocessors. You can think back to, you know, around the year 2000, mobile phones first started coming out and gaining traction. I still remember my little StarTAC flip phone that I had from Motorola. You remember that?
Sure.
And all that supply was coming out of Eastern Congo. Militias and warlords were forcing the local population at gunpoint, machete point, to dig this stuff out, and it was flowing up into the formal supply chain, into mostly those first generation cell phones. And that became known as conflict minerals. Cobalt started later. Cobalt really took off about 10, 12 years ago. And it's in another part of the country, in the mining provinces in the southeast of the Congo. And cobalt took off because it was started to be used in lithium ion batteries to maximize their charge and stability. And it just so happens that the Congo, just as it was sitting on more than half the world's reserves of coltan and, of course, a lot of gold and diamonds and other things, is sitting on more cobalt than the rest of the planet combined. And it's in a small little patch of the Congo, southeastern corner, a part that used to be called Katanga. And before anybody knew what was happening, Chinese government, Chinese mining companies took control of almost all the big mines, and the local population has been displaced, is under duress, and they dig in absolutely subhuman, gut-wrenching conditions for $1 a day, feeding cobalt up the supply chain into all the phones, all the tablets, and especially electric cars.
And we're looking at a video now. Jamie, what is this? The mines?
This is
This is
Yeah.
so crazy to see.
This is the bottom of the supply chain of your iPhone, of your Tesla, of your Samsung. I mean, I'm just naming those companies.
Right.
It's all of them, right? All of them. We're not just picking on them. And here's what you need to know, Joe, about this video.
I don't know, man. I think, no matter if you live in America or Western Europe or Australia, after seeing the horrible work conditions that these people are under, you should probably be pretty grateful for whatever office job you have in the United States. I need to remember that myself. It can always get worse. I could be mining cobalt in the Congo.
Video. I was the first outsider to get into this mine. And that's why it's just a really short video that I was able to take. This is an industrial cobalt mine where there's not supposed to be one artisanal miner. Now, that's the term used for people who are just digging by hand as opposed to tractors and excavators. There's not supposed to be one here. That's what the story is told at the top of the chain. This mine, and I can name it, it's called Shabara. There's not supposed to be one artisanal miner here, according to the consumer-facing tech companies and EV companies buying this cobalt. Lo and behold, I walk in.
Yeah, dude. It's because ESG is a scam. Environmental social governance, it's what's driving all of this crap where it's like, no, we don't have, children digging cobalt out of the ground in the Congo. This is all environmentally friendly. All of that is just, I don't understand all of these woke people that think corporations have their best interest in mind. I mean, corporations have my best interest in mind when they're returning the maximum profit to the shareholder. But I mean, a lot of this ESG stuff like that, it's all just a con. Nobody really cares where the materials come from. Go look around your house. The vast majority of your crap was probably made by either Chinese slaves or African slaves.
To this place, and this is what I see. There's more than 15,000 human beings crammed into that pit, digging by hand. And if you have sound, you hear the.
You imagine if you had to take a shit in those conditions? Or like a piss? Where do you go? Like, do you just if you gotta take a crap while you're mining cobalt right here, do you just squat in front of everybody? Just take a fat dump onto the ground? I mean, do these people even have water?
Mallets, you hear the shouting, you hear the grunts. It's a massive humanity. You might expect to see a scene like this.
So there's a term that gets used, clean cobalt.
There's no clean cobalt.
It's not real.
No. It's all marketing. It's all PR. It's a fiction. Just like that place. There's not supposed to be any artisanal mining there. It's all done industrially. That's the story told at the top of the chain. And people assume, I mean the marketing teams at big tech and EV companies assume, well, who's going to go down there and actually walk into the place and grab a video that shows, no, it's actually all raw human force that is clanking that cobalt out of the ground. So there's no clean cobalt. There's not a single company on planet Earth that makes a device that has a rechargeable battery in it that can reliably and justifiably claim that their cobalt isn't coming from sources like that. And that's the truth that needs to get out there. That's the truth people need to understand, because this is a story that goes back generations. There's these fictions told at the top of the.
All right, we have heard enough from this fine gentleman on the JRE teaching us about cobalt. Well, what do you think is going to be the consequences in the fallout from this? I can't imagine once it gets out, and it will get out eventually. The truth always does, no matter how hard you try to hide it. Look at the FBI and the Hunter Biden laptop. That came out. It always does. What do you think is going to be the effect on the EV market? Because I think once the bad press starts and people start to learn that their environmentally friendly Tesla or whatever EV you want to drive is basically made by African slaves, I think it's going to have a major impact on the EV market. But what do I know? Anyways, if you thought this video gave you some value, consider liking and subscribing, or you can always go watch Bird Lady Roller Pigeon. That is way more captivating than anything I do on this channel. So, like and subscribe or don't, and I'm out.